Hello, hello, my friends. I'm back with another candle review. Today we are going to be talking about Kringle Candle Reserve Sweet Geometry. This is a fragrance that was released, I want to say last summer. Was it around the same time that they released Lime Splash? I believe it was like a mid to late summer release in 2023. I believe that it initially sold out and then they did restock it, I want to say late fall, because when I was looking on the Kringle website today, it said that I had purchased this candle last November. So that's how long this one has been in my collection. Honestly, you guys, I forgot to look at the pour date on this candle, but I will make sure that I note that in the description box down below. If you guys want to know the pour dates, you guys know that I typically like to include those in my candle reviews, but it slipped my mind this morning. Anyways, you can see the packaging on it. This is their 2-wick tumbler style. We've got these black jars that Kringle's Reserve line, that's kind of what distinguishes them a little bit from the regular 2-wick large tumblers. Same size as their normal 2-wicks. Now, the thing on this label is that I feel like this one's a little bit more conceptual. I feel like most of their Reserve labels, they tend to be a little bit more simplistic, I would say, and trying to let the fragrance really speak for itself. However, this one's got a lot of fragrance notes listed in it, and they went a little bit more, I don't know, conceptual, I guess, with the label on it. You can see that the glass is still a tinted black, but you can still see the wax pool, and you can see healthy flames dancing around in there. This candle has been lit for approximately 2 hours right now, so we've got a good, decent wax pool, and you can see that I've burned approximately a third of the wax on this candle. That typically with these large Kringles is where I try to get to before I do a dedicated review for you guys. I can't promise that I'll do that all the time because quite honestly, I've got a lot of summer fragrances to review, this one being one of them. So let's go ahead and talk about it. The fragrance notes on this are top notes, lemon twist, green mint, apple peel. Mid notes of cherry sorbet, almond extract, jasmine petal. Base notes or bottom notes of sugar cane, vanilla sugar, and sweet musk. What does my nose detect? You guys, I actually really like this one, and truthfully, I'm not somebody who really loves cherry fragrances. I would say of all of the fruit fragrances that are usually typically available to us, cherry usually comes in last for me. There's something about cherry that sometimes can come off a little bit medicinal to me, like cough syrup. It's not a fragrance note that I particularly love. However, I think I remembered seeing some reviews on this last summer, and the way that it was described between some of my fellow reviewers here on YouTube and some of those who I follow over on Instagram, a lot of them were saying that this was not like your typical cherry scent, that there was something about this that kind of had a creamy element behind it. We've got like a sorbet or an ice cream look going on here, that this was just a really nice take on it. And so I thought, you know what, that is one that interests me. I want to go ahead and try it. And the 2 notes listed in here, I think that actually there's 3 notes that really got to me. It was the lemon twist, the cherry sorbet, and the almond extract. And the reason why those 3 really appealed to me was because there is a cherry candle that Yankee Candle had. I don't know if they still currently have it in circulation. If they do, I think it's like part of that like throwback collection. They had a candle, I remember it was the year that I got married, so that would have been 2006. I believe it was called like Cherry Lemonade, and my mom burned that in the house, and I remembered loving that scent. In fact, every time I smell that scent, it reminds me of planning for my wedding, which was not a stressful experience for me because we didn't have this wild and crazy large wedding. We were young, you guys. We were 21 and 23. So we were just kind of like, oh, we just want to get married. We don't really care how fancy it is. So anyways, when I smell that scent, it totally takes me back. I have a specific scent memory with that. And so I thought, you know what? This one might be in that wheelhouse. And I will tell you that while I don't think that it is the same fragrance, it's not. there are elements of it that does remind me of that. So if you are a fan of that fragrance, or you were a fan of that fragrance, I think that you would like this one. The cherry sorbet note is the one that I detect the most, although there is a slight hint of a lemon twist in the background. I have actually been burning this candle alongside the lemon sugar marshmallow, that Easter release. You guys all know it's been like my #1 scent so far this year from Kringle. I've also been burning it with lime splash. I feel like cherry goes really well with lime. But I think the reason why I like this cherry scent is because I do smell there's like a creaminess that kind of tones down the traditionally medicinal note that my nose detects when I smell cherry. Sugar cane, vanilla sugar, sweet musk. Again, musk is oftentimes used in there to just kind of add, maybe like to help with like the throw, to add kind of a perfumey element, although this candle is not perfumey at all. This is a very nice summer light gourmand type of fragrance, but not gourmand in the sense of like a bakery scent. It's more like kind of I feel like this is Kringle's take on like trying to do like a cherry ice cream type of flavor. It's not overly creamy. So I guess I should rephrase that. It's not really ice cream. It's probably like a sorbet, which my husband likes sorbet because he can't have he can't have ice cream. Anything with cream or milk in it really does not sit well with him these days. He says that's what happens as you get to being 40. But anyways, green mint, I don't really detect any mintiness in this candle. I know that it's listed there, but I don't really get it. Apple peel, maybe a little bit, like that's like a slightly earthy component. But again, you guys, here we go with all of these fragrance notes being listed. And then you start thinking, am I really smelling that? Am I not? Getting in my head. Really what I smell is the cherry sorbet, almond extract, slight hint of like nuttiness to it, but not really. Again, it's one of those fragrance notes that when you see it listed, you're like, okay, yeah, I could see how that would be in there. But really what my nose smells is a cherry sorbet type of fragrance with a hint of lemon. That's really what at the most basic of levels, that's what my nose is smelling. Let's go ahead and talk about the performance. You guys know that this is burning rather cleanly for me, as does pretty much all of the Kringle soy 100% soy candles do for me. I've always said these reserve ones, we don't really know if they're sooting because the jars are black, but I'm not smelling any soot. The wicks are performing well for me. They're very sturdy. They're not falling over. It develops a good wax pool, completely pulls out easily. But let's go ahead and talk about the strength and throw of this candle. So you guys know me. I like to burn them in hurricanes, out of hurricanes. I'll burn them in the open concept living room. I'll also move them into my bedroom, which has lower ceilings and is more closed concept. So that way I can kind of gauge how a candle is really throwing, how much I can smell it. I know that I say this in most of my reviews. There's been a few that I've left this out, but I do always like to include the size of my home and the environment that I live in, because I feel like those are all things that impact how I'm smelling things, I guess. My home is a 20-year-old home. It was built in 2004. It is approximately 1,800 square feet. It is a single story. I have open concept living room into the kitchen. The living room has about 20-foot high ceilings. The bedrooms are more closed concept with 9-foot high ceilings in there. I live in Arizona, which is a very dry and hot climate. Internal temperature of my home right now is in the low 70s, I would say. I do have air conditioning and ceiling fans going. It's too hot to have windows open right now for this time of year. So those are all things that can impact it. Another thing that I wanted to talk about, well, I'll talk about that after I give my number here, because I could get rambling a little bit too much, but I hope I'll come back to it at the end of this. So strength and throw on this one. I'm going to give this one without a hurricane about a 5, you guys. It's enough that if I don't have a hurricane on it, I can detect it like in the bedrooms. It's not super strong in the bedrooms, but it's definitely a noticeable fragrance. It's not going to smack me in the face. I would say it's like a low medium in the bedrooms. When I place it out into the living room without a hurricane on it, it gets lost. I can't smell it in my kitchen. I could smell it if I'm sitting on the couch that's like right next to the table. But if I were to walk in from the front door, which is opposite of where I'm burning the candle, I'm not likely to be able to smell it from that area. So again, you guys, I have only burned it in the living room in the one on that one table that's in front of the window. I think I'm going to go ahead and try moving it over onto my quilt rack on the wall. Boy, try saying that one 5 times fast. I think I'm going to move it over there because sometimes I get, for whatever reason, really good strength and throw from that position in the house. So I'm going to go ahead and try it. However, when I do place this candle into a hurricane, I do find that the use of a hurricane usually increases the projection of a candle about 2 notches for me. So I would give this one probably a 7. If I put it in a hurricane in the living room, then I do tend to notice it a little bit more than I can when I walk in through the front door. I can detect it. It's still not going to smack me in the face, but it's definitely noticeable. Whereas if I don't have it in a hurricane from that one spot in the living room, I'm really not going to detect it when I walk through the door. So that's what I will say about it. I have also been very vocal about a lot of these large jars with the Kringle soy wax. I do find variances in terms of the strength output depending on where I am at in the burn on the candle. Meaning, like sometimes the first 2 burns, they might be a little bit more medium. Then I find that sometimes it tapers off a little bit, and then when I hit that midway point, it usually picks up in strength and throw. And then usually like the final 3 burns on this Kringle candle, I do notice very much a drop off in the terms of strength and throw. So I will make sure to keep you guys updated in my empties, as I always do, about how this candle completely burned for me. But in terms of if you're wanting to ask me would I recommend this candle, yes, I would. If you already have candles in your collection that you think that this would complement what you have. This is not going to be a house filler. If you're content with this one, maybe just being in like a smaller size kitchen, or if you have an apartment or a smaller home that's a little bit more closed concept, I think that it'll probably perform a little bit better for you. But if you have like high ceilings in a really large home, if you're not using a hurricane, it is going to get lost. So I guess I could say that like it gets a 1 thumb up in terms of the fragrance. And I always say, like, I don't know. I never know like where to put this. Like, I do like the fragrance. Is it one that I see myself repurchasing over and over again? No, it's not. But again, it complements scents that I already have in my collection. And truth be told, when I purchased the candle back in November, that was kind of my mindset. I was looking for a fragrance that I could review that also would complement other candles that I already had in my collection. Let me go back to really quickly one of the things that I think sometimes can affect the subjectivity, I would say, of strength and throw on a candle. I had one of you comment on one of my videos, and I'm glad that you brought this up because this is a point that I think is really important for all of us to take into account, is that I've noticed this with my husband as well. So she was saying that after she had the virus that everybody was concerned about a few years ago. One of the symptoms of that sometimes is that we lose our taste and smell. And I know that I, like a lot of people, had that happen. And some of us have said like our sense of smell changed afterwards. We don't notice things as much. And I actually really think that that's something that we need to take into account when we are saying like, I don't smell anything on this candle. And then somebody else says, oh yeah, I smell it really well. Because here's the funny thing, even in my own home, I have noticed that because sometimes I will be smelling a candle really well and I'll ask my husband, I'll say, Cody, like this one smells really good. Don't you like it? Or like, what do you think of this one? And he will look at me and say, I can't smell it. And I'm like, what? I'm like, this candle is like, I think it's a good solid like 7.5, 8. Like it's definitely detectable. And he's like, I can barely smell it. So I'm just letting you guys know that even within my own home, I have experienced times where I'm smelling something really well, but then my husband is not. So just always take that into account, especially if you have ever experienced a time where you lost your sense of taste and smell, that, a lot of that is still very, very subjective for a lot of us. So that's my little tangent for there. I am a Kringle candle brand ambassador. This candle was not sent to me in PR. Like I said multiple times throughout this video, I did purchase this with my own money. I do have a discount code with Kringle. It is Katie15. It will save you 15% off of your order with Kringle. These reserve candles typically do not go on sale. In fact, I think I've only seen them go on sale once, and that was around maybe after the holidays, I want to say. They might at some point, but very, very rarely do I see these candles go on sale. So if you want some extra money off of this purchase. I believe these retail for $34. You are welcome to use my discount code. It is an affiliate code that is eligible for commission, so I do always like to be open and honest about that, and only use that if you are comfortable, and if you choose to do so, I do want to say thank you very much for doing that. So let me know in the comments down below, is this a candle that you have in your collection? Is this one that has piqued your interest? I always want to hear your thoughts. I'm always one voice in the candle community. We're all, there's a bunch of us, you guys, and all of our opinions seem to matter. And I do think that the more that we chime in on a lot of these reviews, it helps everybody in the community gauge whether or not they want to spend their hard-earned money on a lot of these candles. Please hit thumbs up if you found this video helpful. Also, I'd love it if you subscribe if you're new. I do a bunch of candle content. I do dedicated reviews, I do hauls, empties, and everything in between. So if you like candle content, I think you would like sticking around on my channel. I do want to say thank you so very much for spending your time here with me today. And until my next one, I hope you all go out and have a very blessed day. Bye.